So Greg, just, I guess, expressed another way, just to clarify, somebody could actually be at the lower end of a total testosterone, but their free testosterone component, which is the impactful component, if you will,
Yeah,
may be actually quite normal. Is that
exactly. That's exactly right. Yep.
okay? Great. Well, thank you for that and that clarification. Some other, hormones that can impact testosterone and certainly play a part of what we deem in medicine the hormonal axis, which is the interplay between all these hormones. Another one is prolactin. This is something that comes from the pituitary gland in the central nervous system, and can impact certainly, how much testosterone our testes are secreting, and also can directly impact as well the quality and amount of sperm production. Other hormones, to just mention, estradiol. This is one that also gets involved in sperm production to some extent, certainly if there's elevated numbers, and can also affect sex drive and even erectile function. And is a number that, much like testosterone, does change over time. And then finally, cortisol is one that might be familiar to a lot of people on the webinar, which is considered a stress hormone, but it is one of these hormones that our bodies release in response to stress, and can also, impact other components of our body that could ultimately then feed back to testosterone production as well. But I think just familiarize yourself with those terms is really all we're trying to get out of that. Again, we're here to really focus on testosterone itself. True or false that only older men will experience or can experience low testosterone levels? Yeah, false, false, false. Correct. Let's go to that. Let's the big reveal. Everybody's right. Yeah, it is definitely false. And Greg will talk about this a little bit later. But while he mentioned that it may be normal for an older man, particularly depending on their age, to have lower levels, they're not the only ones that may be experiencing low testosterone. Next question: significant drops in testosterone are normal as you get older. I think we've beaten this one into the ground. Yes, everybody's, hopefully, if they've been listening, the answer to that is okay. So here's the key: significant drops. So we mentioned that there is a drop in testosterone that's a normal part of aging, about 1% or so per year. But it's a bit of a trick question because of that term significant. And it's a little bit about how you define significant. But in other words, as you get older, yes, your numbers are likely and are normally going to go down. But there should not be a precipitous drop. And certainly, there's no reason to expect that your numbers should be very, very low. And that's why it's important to sort of know your numbers, particularly if you're having symptoms and questions and concerns that make you think you may have some testosterone issues. So significant drops is the key, the significant term there. All right, and let's go to the final question. Does low testosterone cause infertility? True or false? I see a true. I see a negative. All right, the first two responses are split directly down the middle, not on its own. All right, now we're going next level. That's great. All right, so the big reveal here is that correct. It does not, in and of itself, impact fertility. Greg, you're our resident fertility expert on this, so maybe I'll let you comment on that now.
Yeah, I think the way that you have to be, the way the question is worded, low testosterone causes infertility. I would say it's a factor. It can be affiliated with fertility issues, but it's not the sole cause. There are a lot of factors that go into fertility, both on the male and the female side. So you have to just be careful with the way the question is worded there, and think about it as a bigger picture.
So, true statement then, if you have low testosterone, and I know that's a pretty broad term, but if you have low testosterone, it does not in and of itself mean that
you're going to be infertile.
And however, if you are struggling with fertility and as part of the workup, you're found to have low testosterone, the fertility might be improved by improving the testosterone. Is that?
I think that's a fair statement for sure.
Got it. All right, great. Well, good. I think everybody did really well there. see.
So there's a question in the chat about when we're talking about testosterone, are we talking about free testosterone? Generally, we're talking about total testosterone. That's really the common test that people get checked out in the community. It's really only probably when you get down into, you know, a urologist's office or a specialist office where you're going to get into the weeds, or even an endocrinologist's office into the free testosterone versus total testosterone. But generally, we're talking about total testosterone. So that's a great question.
All right, so let's get into you know, what happens in terms of bodybuilding and why you know, getting our bodies through puberty and all that in the men's world, it's important, and where testosterone works. So testosterone influences muscle development and fat distribution inversely, so that muscle development is promoted by testosterone through what's called an anabolic pathway. But essentially what that term means is that it promotes protein synthesis, and protein synthesis is crucial for muscle development, muscle growth, muscle maintenance. On the other side of that coin is it will diminish or decrease certain elements of fat distribution. And so, you know, this is one of the common reasons that people might get concerned about, hey, what is my testosterone level, if they're noticing that they're either losing muscle mass or they're having a hard time, you know, building muscle mass, and perhaps they're starting to have a bit more fat. That might raise questions about, you know, is testosterone levels waning, or is it playing a role? The other area that I think it's really important to just mention, and often gets sort of a second fiddle to the muscle conversation, because that's the one a lot of people tend to focus on, but is the importance of testosterone for bone density. And so people may be familiar with the term osteoporosis, which is essentially a thinning of the bone, which is common as people age. You know, certainly more in women than in men, but men can also have it develop. And one of the ways to best combat that and to try to preserve and maintain healthy, strong bone is by making sure that your testosterone levels are 50.